What's up, everybody? I'm back to do another video on my year in wrestling series of videos that I've been doing. I started talking about 1987 because that is the year that I became a wrestling fan and started watching wrestling. Now I'm on 1998. This will be my last video on the year 1998. This is part 7 of the year in wrestling 1998. I'll be talking about WWF Survivor Series 98, WCW World War 3 98, Starrcade 98, and WWF Rock Bottom December 98 WWF pay-per-view. It was called Rock Bottom. It was still called In Your House Rock Bottom. And ECW November to Remember 1998. So I guess I'll start talking about ECW November to Remember 98 because it happened on the first day of November. November 1st, 1998 was the November to Remember. I'm going to just talk about matches and things that happened on the show that were newsworthy and that were some were good and some that were just boring I won't talk about. You had the show kick off with Joey Styles in the ring introducing us to and welcoming us to ECW November to Remember. And then you had Terry Funk in the crowd with a microphone yelling, screaming on the microphone. And then he comes out of the crowd into the ring, starts yelling and threatening Joey Styles, and then starts yelling about Tommy Dreamer, how Tommy Dreamer is a piece of shit because he did not pick him as his tag team partner. He picked Jake the Snake Roberts instead. So Terry Funk is really angry at Tommy Dreamer. Then Tommy Dreamer comes out to the ring and tells Terry that he loves him and respects him, but he just didn't pick him as his tag partner. And anyways, Terry Funk doesn't like that. I believe he attacks a few security guards that were holding him back because he wanted to attack Tommy Dreamer. So Terry Funk, I believe, even did attack Tommy Dreamer and knocked him down. And then security came in and Terry Funk attacked the security. So then the show starts. You had Supernova and Blue Mini teaming up again. I believe they defeated the FBI. No, they defeated Roadkill and Danny Doring, they became a pretty damn good tag team at the end of '99 and into the year 2000. Into 2001, Danny Doring and Roadkill became a great team in ECW. Other things on the show that I enjoyed was Sunny. Sunny was on ECW November to Remember as a special guest referee in a Lance Storm versus Jerry Lynn match, and then it became Lance Storm versus Mikey Whipwreck, I believe, if I remember right. So Sunny was a ref for that match, and my God, she looked hot as hell in that tiny little referee uniform that she was wearing. Other things that were good. The Dudley Boys defended the ECW Tag Team titles against Balls Mahoney and Masato Tanaka. And Masato Tanaka kicked out of 3D, the Dudley Death Drop. I don't believe anybody in the WWE has kicked out of it. But in ECW, Masato Tanaka did kick out of 3D, the Dudley Death Drop. And Masato Tanaka and Balls Mahoney win the ECW Tag Team titles. They wouldn't have them for very long because I think a week later at an ECW TV taping in Queens, New York City, the Dudleys defeated Balls and Masato to win the titles back. I believe the Dudleys are 7 or 8, maybe 9-time ECW Tag Team champions. So they lost the belts a lot and they won them back a lot. There's no doubt about it. The Dudley Boys are the greatest tag team in ECW history that ECW ever created. Definitely, no doubt about that. So the Dudleys lose the tag titles, but they win them back from Balls and Tanaka. And then I think the Dudleys lose the tag titles to Rob Van Dam and Sabu before 99 or early 99. I believe they lost them right back, or they won the tag titles from the Dudleys, and RVD and Sabu lost them again to the Dudleys in, I think, April 99 or May 99. Anyways, Dudleys losing the tag titles. It was a classic ECW match. It was a lot of violence, a lot of tables, a lot of chair shots. It was awesome. I enjoyed it. Main event was, or before the main event, Tommy Dreamer and his mystery tag team partner to take on Just Incredible and Jack Victory. I believe is Jack Victory. Tommy's mystery partner was Jake the Snake Roberts. Kind of odd for ECW to bring in Jake Roberts because he really did nothing for them ever. And then he was gone right after November to Remember. He was never used again in ECW. So that match was pretty entertaining. Now to the main event. RVD, Taz, and Sabu. That's a damn dream ECW dream team, in my opinion. Take on the team of the Triple Threat. The world champion, Shane Douglas, with Francine, Bam Bam Bigelow, and Chris Candido, the Triple Threat. And right after this pay-per-view, Bam Bam Bigelow would jump to WCW. He worked there in the late 80s for a very small time. He was on Starrcade 88. That's a really long time ago. But he went back to WCW in 1998 after November to Remember 98. I'm sure Bam Bam wasn't making good money. Or maybe he was. I don't know if he was making good money in ECW. But I'm sure WCW offered him a guaranteed contract with a lot of money. So he took it and went to ECW. Good for him. I'm sure it was a better deal than what he had in ECW. And I'm sure he could take care of his family with the money WCW was paying him. So he left and he sold out. Anyways, that's kind of stupid to yell at a wrestler if they're leaving a company. You sold out, you sold out. ECW would always, I think ECW started that. And they started yelling that at wrestlers in 96 and 97 when they knew they were leaving ECW. They'd yell at them, you sold out, you sold out. And people, which dumbfounds me and I don't get it, people still yell that at Seth Rollins. That is just so stupid to still yell at Seth Rollins, you sold out, you sold out. That was like a year and a half ago when he turned on the Shield. So please, you stupid marks or idiots, please stop yelling at Seth Rollins, you sold out, because that is so fucking outdated. Just stop it. Anyways, back to November to Remember. Bam Bam leaves after this pay-per-view to go to WCW, and I don't blame him because I'm sure he got a way better deal for him and his family to take care of his family. And he would show up at WCW's November pay-per-view World War III. A couple weeks later, he would show up at World War III and try to attack and try to run in and attack Goldberg, but security would hold him back. And that could have been a great feud, Bam Bam Bigelow versus Goldberg. That could have been a great feud in WCW, but they screwed it all up. And I don't think they ever had a one-on-one match on a pay-per-view. Probably did on Nitros, but Bam Bam versus Goldberg, a series of matches, those two guys clashing, that would have been awesome, I thought. But it never really happened. They tried to get them to feud, but I never saw a one-on-one match between Goldberg and Bam Bam. I never did, but I'm sure it happened. Anyways, main event was a mess. And November to Remember. It was a six-man tag, like, dream match. But it was a mess. It just, all six of the guys did not click. and did not work well together. I don't know why it didn't work well. The main event was a mess. It should have went off, and it should have been great. It should have been a great six-man tag match, but it did not work out. I don't know what happened. I mean, maybe some of the talents in the match, that maybe they were arguing over spots and what their spots they couldn't get in the match or whatever. Maybe they were arguing, that's why it didn't work out. Or maybe they were arguing their spots in the match when the match was going on. I don't know. Anyways, I believe the team of, I don't even remember who won. RVD, Taz, and Sabu win. I believe Taz was choking out the world champion Shane Douglas. He had him hooked in his submission finisher. And then Sabu came off the top with a chair onto Taz and Shane Douglas. And I guess then Shane Douglas was knocked out and got pinned by Taz or Sabu. So that was November to Remember 1998. It was better than November to Remember 97, but it wasn't a very good pay-per-view from ECW. And I'm an ECW mark, and I am an ECW fan. And when they were in business, I always supported them, and I bought their pay-per-views. So, I'm just saying, ECW November to Remember 98 was not a good show. I didn't think it was. Now I'm going to talk about WCW World War 3, 98. Kevin Nash wins World War 3, the 3-ring 60-man battle royal, 20 men in each ring. When it would get down to 10 guys, they would all go into one ring. Then the match worked when you could see 10 guys in one ring, and the camera would just go and shoot one ring and put one camera on the first ring that had 10 guys in it. Then World War 3 worked. When you put 3 rings on camera, they had 3 little boxes of each ring, 20 guys in each ring. It was a mess, and it was too hard to follow. I said that in my other videos about World War 3 95, 96, 97, and World War 3 98. The last World War 3 WCW would hold. In the last World War 3 60-man 3-ring battle royal WCW would ever put on. I said the World War 3 matches in my past videos, they were all just a mess and too hard to follow as a fan until it got down to 10 guys, and then you could finally follow the damn match. So Kevin Nash wins. That means he gets a world title shot at Starrcade 98 against Goldberg, who was the champion. And Goldberg did not wrestle on World War 3 98 or defend the title. I believe this NWO fake referee, I think he was an NWO referee. I think he had NWO letters on the back of his referee shirt, so he must have been the NWO special referee. Anyways, he was a bald ref. I believe he worked later on in TNA, and he might even still work in TNA. I don't know. Anyways, Goldberg comes out, I believe, spears and jackhammers the NWO ref. And I believe Scott Steiner then had a match or something, and Scott Steiner ran away to the back because he's scared of Goldberg. I think that happened. And then Goldberg pressed, I think he gorilla pressed the referee and threw him on somebody. I think he threw him on Scott Steiner. And then you have Bam Bam Bigelow come out rushing to the ring, coming out to the ring to try to attack Goldberg, and fans are probably pretty shocked because they did not think that Bam Bam Bigelow was coming into WCW, and it's like Bam Bam was invading from ECW, because a lot of wrestling fans that knew about ECW and watched it, they knew Bam Bam was part of ECW. And he was just on the November to Remember pay-per-view. Now he shows up at WCW's November pay-per-view. So the fans are probably shocked. It was a pretty cool moment. Fans were going crazy. They wanted to see Bam Bam and Goldberg beat the crap out of each other and fight. But they didn't get to fight because security came out and held them both back. So, what else happened at World War III that was entertaining and newsworthy to me? DDP went against Bret Hart. I believe Bret Hart was still the U.S. champion at the time, so, or maybe DDP was U.S. champion and defending. I don't really remember. I'll just look it up here. Bret Hart was not U.S. champion. Diamond Dallas Page was. And DDP defeated Bret Hart to retain the U.S. title. And that's really all that really happened that I was entertained by on World War III. Kevin Nash wins World War III to get the title shot. Goldberg comes out, destroys a ref. And then Bam Bam comes out. That was entertaining. And DDP and Bret Hart was entertaining. Now I'm going to talk about WWF Survivor Series 98 Deadly Game. This was the WWF Championship Tournament. First time WWF would have an entire pay-per-view since WrestleMania 4 of an entire tournament to crown a new WWF champion. You had Mick Foley as Mankind. He was in it. He was the first match, and Mr. McMahon came out in his wheelchair and announced his mystery opponent. A lot of people thought it was going to be a guy from WCW or somebody else, maybe from ECW, somebody jumping to come to the WWF. It was not. The mystery opponent for Mankind was Dwayne Gill, a jobber from the 80s. The guy that basically jobbed his entire career, and he was around a lot in the late 80s and early 90s as a jobber. So then, Mankind basically defeats Dwayne Gill in the first round of the tournament to crown a new WWF champion. Mankind defeats him in like probably 2 or 3 minutes. So Mankind goes on. The Rock was a babyface coming into Survivor Series 98. I don't think anybody knew he was going to turn heel and join Vince and the corporation. But he did, and it was a great, great heel turn. Nobody thought The Rock was going to turn heel, but he did. And it gave The Rock a lot of heat as a heel, and he was a world champion, the corporate champion, the people's champion. He was the people's champion before he sold out and became the corporate champion. So that was a great, great heel turn before he turned heel on Mankind, and they screwed Mankind out of the WWF Championship in the finals of the tournament when they had the bell ring early, like it was a Montreal screw job all over again a year later. But they screwed Mankind this time. The only difference is Mankind didn't really get screwed, and he knew the finish, I'm sure. So The Rock was a babyface earlier. I believe he defeated Big Boss Man. He defeated him really quick, and probably in under a minute. I think Big Boss Man ran the ring. The Rock rolled him up in a small package and defeated him in like under a minute. Then he defeated, I think, Ken Shamrock. He defeated him when Big Boss Man or somebody screwed up, and Big Boss Man threw his nightstick for Ken Shamrock, and The Rock intercepted the nightstick and hit Ken Shamrock with it and pinned him and won. So the corporation was trying to screw The Rock out of the tournament, but the entire time they knew The Rock was the corporate champion and was going to become the champion. So whatever. Big Boss Man was in the corporation. He jobbed to The Rock because he knew The Rock was going to join them. And then I think The Rock went straight to the finals because Kane and The Undertaker wrestled to a draw. I think the time limit ran out, so there was a draw, and so there was a bye in the tournament. The bye made The Rock, I believe, go to the finals. And Mankind, Stone Cold Steve Austin was in the tournament. Everybody thought and probably wanted Stone Cold to go to the finals and win the championship, because Stone Cold was super over as a babyface and super over with the crowd. So Stone Cold gets screwed by Shane McMahon after Shane McMahon was like a babyface and came out on Raw. and said and started crying and taught in a promo towards his dad. Shane McMahon was basically crying and yelling at him that you were never a father to me, you ignored me, or some crap like that. So Shane McMahon gave Stone Cold his new 5-year contract. Basically went behind his dad's back. Because Shane McMahon, I'm sure, did have some ownership in the WWF for real before he decided to leave in, I don't know, 2009 or 10. I think he decided to leave, or 2008, he decided to leave the entire company and go do something on his own. Instead of just stay and work for his dad his entire life. So I respect Shane McMahon for leaving and doing that. So Shane, it's Stone Cold in a match in the tournament, Stone Cold against Mankind. Shane McMahon is a special guest referee. Or Shane McMahon was working as a referee for a couple weeks. I don't know why, but he was. I guess Vince fired him or something, so Shane came back as a ref. I don't really remember why, but he was a ref. Working as a ref before Survivor Series. Anyways, they screw Stone Cold. Stone Cold stunners Mankind. And before he stunnered him, Big Boss Man took out Stone Cold with a nightstick on the outside of the ring. Big Boss Man was beating him with the nightstick, and Big Boss Man got disqualified. So he was out of the tournament. Stone Cold was laid out. He had to go in an ambulance to the hospital, and he drove the ambulance back to Survivor Series 98. And then he came out of the ambulance. He looked fine. And then he almost defeated Mankind. He stunned him. Hit the stunner. Shane McMahon 1, 2. He would not count to 3. Stone Cold looks at Shane. Shane goes like this to Stone Cold. And then Stone Cold looks pissed, and Shane McMahon runs out of the ring. And I believe he runs and sprints to the back. So Stone Cold doesn't have a ref. Or I don't remember who won, how Stone Cold lost. He might have left the ring and got counted out or some crap. I don't remember what happened. Maybe I should look it up. It's not going to tell me the goddamn finish, but anyways, Mankind defeated Stone Cold, who had a bye in the tournament, or somebody had a bye, and that's all it says. I don't know what the finish was, or how Mankind defeated Stone Cold, but he did. I think Mankind rolled up, or did a schoolboy on Stone Cold maybe, and Shane McMahon came back in the ring, went 1, 2, 3. Kind of 1, 2, 3, screwed Stone Cold like that with a fast count. So as I said, The Rock wins the tournament to become the new WWF champion for the first time ever in his career, and he hugs Mr. McMahon and Shane McMahon. It was their plan all along. It was their plan to make The Rock as their corporate champion. Made a lot of sense. It was great booking. Great booking to build up to the finals to have The Rock turn heel. Great booking. Survivor Series 98, hell of a pay-per-view. So I enjoyed Survivor Series 98 a lot. It was much better than ECW November to Remember 98, and it was way better than World War III 98, in my opinion. Now I'm going to talk about, and at Survivor Series, you also had Sable win the WWF Women's Championship. It was on the line. I believe Jacqueline had the title. She was a champion. So Sable defeats Jacqueline to win the women's title. I didn't really care either way. She could have lost or she could have won. I didn't care. I wasn't a fan of Sable in the ring. I wasn't even a fan of her looks-wise. Like, I never thought she was hot. I mean, I thought Sunny was way hotter than Sable, but who really cares? Who really cares who I thought was hotter? And Sable was not a wrestler. She never was. She was never a great worker. She never could wrestle and put on a good women's match. She just, I guess she was super over with the crowd. She was probably the most over female before Sunny was. Sunny was probably the most over in 96 and part of 97. And 95, Sonny was really over. But around 98, WWF started pushing Sable really hard, and basically is a top diva in the company, and that's why they gave her the women's title, because Sable is just eye candy and the top female in the company. But I would have to say in late 99, Chyna was the top female in the company because she won the Intercontinental title. So Sable wins the women's title. I didn't really care. In 1998, women's wrestling was not very good, and they just didn't try to build up their division. They were building it up in 99 and 2000 when they hired Lita and Trish. So they built it up more and more in the year 2000, and basically in 2000 and 2001 is when the Divas division really started becoming something good, because of Trish and Lita and Ivory, Jacqueline, Molly Holly, women like that, they could work. And Victoria, women like that were great workers, and they were great wrestlers. And they were great for the Divas division, and to give it credibility and put on great matches and not put people to sleep like years and years before the Divas division started. The women were basically just used as objects and eye candy and managers, and basically they would just come on the show basically as eye candy. They weren't wrestlers, and they weren't respected, in my opinion, until the year 2000 and 2001 and 2002, when the Divas and the Women's Championship was getting defended, and they were putting on great matches with each other. The entire Divas roster was a great, great roster of very talented women that could wrestle. So, I didn't care for Sable as a women's title. It really meant nothing for the title that she held it. And it didn't get the title over, and they brought the women's title back after it was gone for 4 years. It didn't put the title over and give it any meaning. It didn't really, the women's title had no meaning until the year 2000 when Lita held it. Now I'm going to talk about the final two pay-per-views of 98. WCW Starrcade 98. I'm going to talk about the stuff I enjoyed in the rest of the matches. If you want to know them, look them up online. First I'll talk about Billy Kidman, I believe, defended the Cruiserweight title, I think 3 times or 2 times. Let me check. Billy Kidman, first, he defeated Juventud and Rey Mysterio in a 3-way match, in a triple threat. And then Billy Kidman defeated Eddie Guerrero. So Billy Kidman had a hell of a showing at Starrcade 98. He had a great showing. He was a hell of a talent, hell of a Cruiserweight champion, and he had a great showing. That stands out to me at Starrcade 98 is what Billy Kidman accomplished. And the rest of these matches at Starrcade were pretty lame and boring. You had Ric Flair. This was not lame and boring. Ric Flair defeated Eric Bischoff, and after hitting Bischoff with brass knuckles. So Ric Flair defeats his boss, his real boss at the time, Eric Bischoff, and they had a lot of heat with each other, because they both, I think Ric Flair sued WCW over leaving a show, not appearing on a Thunder, to go see his son, his young son Reed. At the time, I think Reed was 12 years old or something. He went to go see his son Reed wrestle in an amateur wrestling tournament. So, and I feel bad for Ric Flair that his son Reed passed away like that of an overdose, or passed away due to drugs. I believe they found heroin in his system. So I feel really bad that Ric Flair lost his son Reed. That had to be heartbreaking and very, very upsetting to Ric Flair, and I don't see how you ever get over one of your own kids passing away. I could never get over it, but I don't have any kids. But if I did, I wouldn't be able to ever get over one of my children passing away. It doesn't matter how they pass away, it would be tragic and just really, really, really depressing. So I hope Ric Flair is not too depressed still about his son passing. That's heartbreaking, and I don't wish that on anybody. I don't wish them losing a relative or a son or a daughter. I don't wish that on anybody, to have to lose their kid when their kid is like in their 20s. Or I don't know the son, I don't know the age of Reed when he passed. I think he's 20 years old only. So I don't wish anybody to have to lose a child. So Ric Flair defeats Bischoff, and they put on a good match because of Ric Flair. He was a great worker. Ric Flair could have an entertaining match with a broomstick. The guy's that good. And Bischoff, for a non-wrestler, he did pretty good also. And he had a lot of heat. He was hated as a heel, so he was a natural heel already. Up next, I'll talk about the main event of Starrcade 98. Goldberg, I believe he's 173-0, I think was the number, or 176-0, I don't remember. Anyways, Goldberg was a WCW World Champion defending against Kevin Nash, who won World War III the month before to get the title shot. You have Scott Hall come in dressed as security with a taser and tases Goldberg in the back, tases him, and I believe he even tased him after the match. When Goldberg was laid out, they tased him some more. Probably just to fuck with Goldberg and just to play games with him. Mind games, and I'm sure they got in Goldberg's head backstage. A lot of the politics they played, Nash and Hogan and Hall, a lot of backstage politics that they played, I'm sure it affected Goldberg, and he didn't know how to handle it. Anyways, Kevin Nash defeats Bill Goldberg and wins the WCW Championship and defeats Goldberg's crazy streak that he made up. I don't even think he was 173-0 because I don't think he competed and defeated. I don't think Goldberg even defeated 173 guys or whatever the number was. I don't see how he could have, but whatever. And a lot of the guys he defeated were on Nitros and Thunders, and a lot of guys are mid-card wrestlers that he probably defeated 3 or 4 times. Like Glacier, son of that one guy, he's dressed in a karate gimmick. I think his name was Jerry Flynn. He defeated him probably 3 or 4 times. He defeated a lot of jobbers, a lot of mid-carders that in WCW did nothing with them. They were never super over. They just fed them to Goldberg, and he destroyed them in 2 or 3 minutes. And then his streak got bigger and bigger and bigger. He defeated the Giant and picked him up and jackhammered him on Nitro. That was damn impressive. He defeated Meng. Meng is a tough son of a bitch. He's no jobber, and I would never say he was a jobber ever, because the guy is tough as hell. And I would never call him a jobber to his face, because he'd kick my ass. And I'm sure he could still kick my ass even if he is 60 years old. Or whatever, how old Meng is, I don't know. Probably late 50s. So, Kevin Nash defeating the streak, in my opinion, was the wrong thing to do at the time. Just like a lot of people think the Undertaker's streak ending and having Brock Lesnar beat the streak, a lot of people think that was the wrong decision. Well, I think Goldberg's, him losing, that affected Goldberg in his career way more than it's going to affect The Undertaker, because The Undertaker, before he lost to Brock at WrestleMania 30, The Undertaker was already a legend and an icon in the WWE, and he will be a legend and an icon forever and ever. Goldberg basically getting beat by Kevin Nash and defeated the streak. They should have let the streak go on until, in my opinion, they should have let the streak go on until the end of 1999. So, I guess, I don't know, Goldberg would have been over 250-0. Whatever. They should have let Goldberg go undefeated until 1999 and hold the title until the end of 99, but they didn't do that. Probably because Kevin Nash was booking and in control of booking. So Kevin Nash made himself the world champion. In 1999 was a mess in WCW. They had a lot of world champions that were crowned that were a lot of old guys. And they should have just stayed with Goldberg and gave him the ball, or left him. They should have left the world title on Goldberg, is what I'm trying to say, until the end of 99, in my opinion. That would have been way better than doing the finger poke of Doom on Nitro, and then Nash laying down for Hogan. And then Hogan lost to Ric Flair in a steel cage at Uncensored 99. That was fucking pointless, but they just wanted to give Ric Flair, I think, his 14th or 15th world title win. So Hogan agreed to job to Ric Flair, and Hogan never ever jobbed to Ric Flair. He only did once. I mean, I've seen 15 Ric Flair versus Hulk Hogan matches from WWF and WCW, and Ric Flair only won one of them. And that was at WCW Uncensored 99. I could be wrong about that. Maybe Ric Flair defeated Hogan by disqualification in another match. Big deal. It wasn't by pinfall. So, Hogan had creative control in his contract. He could he controlled his wins and losses. And the guy never lost. He barely ever lost. And that's just having a top talent have creative control is just so bad, and it will fuck your company up. If you have the boss telling you you have to do the job tonight, and then the talent going, I don't have to do any job because it's in my contract, I don't have to job, so I'm not gonna. And Kevin Nash being the booker, and I think he was a booker at the time, giving himself the world title win over Goldberg was the wrong thing to do. It was stupid. The fans in the arena popped because I think they were anti-Goldberg, and they were sick of Goldberg and probably sick of his style, and they probably thought Goldberg was boring. I agree with that. Goldberg did get boring, but Kevin Nash still shouldn't have defeated him for the world title yet. He should have went till the end of 99, then have Kevin Nash defeat him. Anyways, Kevin Nash was a booker, and he probably had creative control, so he fucked with Goldberg and defeated him for the world title. And Goldberg couldn't do a damn thing about it because they got inside his head and they played him. So this is the end of me talking about 1998. This was part 7 of the Year in Wrestling 1998. I hope you enjoyed it. If you watched any of this, thank you for watching very much. I really appreciate it. Follow me on Twitter. I'll be on Twitter tonight at TNA WWE Guy and at NXT WWE Guy. Tonight for NXT, I'll be tweeting from NXT WWE Guy on Twitter. That's at NXT WWE Guy on Twitter. That's where I'll be tweeting NXT from. And then when TNA starts on Destination America, I'll go back to my TNA WWE Guy account. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. I'm done talking about 98 now. I'm looking forward to talking about 1999. And one more thing. WCW in 97 and 98 tried to do a lot of hardcore matches. They did them with Public Enemy, where Public Enemy would bring out tables or 2 tables and put guys through them. And WWF did the same thing in 98. They even created a hardcore title, but they started having more guys bleed and stuff, and I think that is WCW started breaking tables with Public Enemy because they were from ECW. So basically Bischoff basically ripped off some of what ECW was doing because they were known for breaking a lot of tables, and WCW was not before that. And WCW would have never signed Public Enemy if they weren't in ECW and they didn't have success in ECW. And then you had WWF in the Attitude Era in '98 do a lot of stuff, get more violent. Their content got more violent, and I think that was because of ECW and somebody in WWF, somebody in that company was watching ECW, and so WWF and WCW they can deny it all they want, but in my opinion they both ripped off a lot of stuff ECW was doing and did before WCW or WWF did it, so they can deny it. Bischoff can deny it that he ripped off ECW and he stole a lot of their talent, that's for sure. But I don't blame any of the talent for going to WCW because they got paid better and they made a better living for themselves and their families. And it was obvious, if you watch the WWF Attitude Era, it was obvious they got and stole a lot of ideas and stuff they did. They stole from ECW because they saw it on ECW. You had Big Show chokeslam Undertaker through the ring in '99 on a Raw. That happened in ECW where Taz and Bam Bam went through the ring. So that was an obvious ripoff. Terry Taylor, who was working backstage in WWF as a part of the creative team, he even admitted it, that WWF and the stuff he saw on ECW, that WWF took it and ripped it off because they thought it was a great spot and a great idea to do that, so they would take it. But who really cares? Every successful wrestling company steals from each other. Bottom line, who really cares? I'm just saying it happened, and WCW and WWF definitely ripped off ECW a lot in '98 and '99. Bye for now, everybody.